Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and pull out what really matters for you. Today, well, we're looking at something pretty stark in the business world. Failure. It's, not the cheeriest topic, but the stats are kind of hard to ignore. The U.S. Department of Labor figures. They show almost half of businesses don't even make it 5 years.
Hmm.
And then two-thirds are gone by year 10. Only, a quarter last 15 years?
Yeah,
Makes you really stop and think, doesn't it?
it absolutely does. And, it's not just about barely scraping by, just surviving. What almost every entrepreneur, every leader is really after is that mix, right? Success that lasts, financial security, sure, but also work that actually feels meaningful.
Right. Finding the meaning.
Yeah, finding that framework that brings it all together. That's the real quest for so many.
And that is exactly what we want to dig into in this deep dive. We're looking at Cam Marston's book, What Works. Now, this book is interesting because it isn't just theory. It actually pulls together insights from, like, 200 episodes of his radio show.
What's working with Cam Marston?
Yeah. Where he just talked to successful business people, entrepreneurs, leaders. I find that whole idea really compelling, getting the what works stuff straight from, the horse's mouth. Real experience.
What's really fascinating here is just the sheer volume of um, practical, real-world stuff we're talking about. 200 episodes.
That's a lot of conversations.
It really is. It's not like your typical business book, which might, focus on some grand theory or maybe one or two superstar CEOs.
Mm.
This is more like a huge practical case study collection.
Mm.
Marston's approach was, well, it sounds simple. He basically just asked successful folks, what do you actually do and how do you do it?
And listened.
And really listened, yeah.
Okay, so the main task for us today in our deep dive is to kind of map out those common threads. What were the things that kept coming up again and again, these best ideas from all those different conversations? Because as I understand it, the book isn't really about, say, the 10 most exciting interviews he did.
No, not at all.
It's about the 10 ideas that kept repeating, the ones that seem like they could apply to pretty much anyone. Is that about right?
That's exactly it. It's hunting for those patterns, those principles that just surfaced over and over.
Yeah.
And that's way more valuable, usually, than just a single cool story. These are the insights you can actually, hopefully, use in your own work.
Okay, so let's pull out a couple then. What's one big idea that you saw as a really consistent theme in Marston's findings?
Well, one that came up constantly, and it's powerful, is what Marston termed an obsession with the customer.
Obsession.
Yeah, and it's more than just, good customer service. It's this almost singular focus, really digging deep to understand, even trying to anticipate what customers need before they ask.
Proactive.
Very proactive, like test out new ideas directly with customers, constantly getting that direct feedback loop going. It's not just reacting, it's sometimes almost predicting.
An obsession. That definitely paints a picture. What about another one? Was there anything that maybe felt a bit, I don't know, counterintuitive?
Well, maybe counterintuitive to the idea of glamour, but hugely important, was embracing the mundane.
Embracing the mundane.
Yeah, this isn't the sexy part of running a business, right?
Right.
But it's so often where the real success gets built. So many of the people Marston talked to really stressed how vital it is to just nail the small, everyday tasks consistently, perfectly.
The basics.
Exactly. Doing the fundamentals exceptionally well, day in, day out. It's about that dedication to the process, just showing up. It's not really about the big splashy moves, but more like the compounding effect of just grinding out quality work on the less exciting stuff.
That really lands. It's easy to get caught up chasing the shiny objects, but you're saying success is often built quietly by mastering those basics. Did anything emerge about why people were successful, like their mindset or how they tackled problems?
Oh, definitely. Another really big theme was the power of questions. And this actually connects back to Marston's own story, too. The most successful people he spoke with weren't just good at doing things. They were incredibly curious, relentlessly so,
Asking questions.
constantly questioning assumptions, questioning their own methods, questioning what was changing around them. It wasn't about pretending to have all the answers. It was more about building a habit of asking the right questions, even the uncomfortable ones. Because that's what let them spot new chances or see risks others missed. That kind of active curiosity fueled their ability to adapt and, innovate.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So these are just some of the patterns he found across hundreds of talks. It really does sound like it boils down to inspiration, sure, but also just common sense, hard graft, and determination.
Yeah.
And maybe the real what works isn't some secret sauce after all, but more like a mix of Pretty accessible habits and a particular way of thinking.
And if you think about the bigger picture here, it's such a strong reminder that always learning, always adapting is just crucial, not just for a company, but for us as individuals too. You think about Cam Marston himself. He's really open about how his first interview for that radio show,
Hmm.
he called it a train wreck. Yeah, Joe Segula, the UNC volleyball coach, he said he was so nervous he actually refused to do any interviews in person for the first 6 months.
Wow.
He was afraid making eye contact would just completely throw him off.
That's quite a journey from being that anxious to, mastering it and actually finding joy in it now.
Exactly. He talks about how it's become a really important part of his life, a joy, and satisfies his, quote, deep, deep craving to ask questions.
It really shows how even the experts, the people helping us find answers, are on their own learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of all those guests, those 200 people, there was one thing, one trait, that was apparently undeniably consistent across every single one of them.
Yes, that's right. It's quite striking. Every single guest, he says, without fail, shared this deep sense of gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah. Gratitude for their customers, for their teams, their employees, gratitude for the opportunities they had through their job or their company. They were just genuinely grateful people, which is pretty powerful when you think about how different all those businesses and backgrounds must have been.
It really is. So it kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? If the most consistent thing across 200 successful people is gratitude, and the whole project itself is driven by Marston's own deep curiosity, his curiosity problem, as he calls it, what does that maybe suggest about what really underpins lasting success, both in business and maybe just in life generally? What's your curiosity problem, maybe? And how could asking those questions lead you to figure out your own what works? Something to think about.